everybody was waiting on just happened. Caleb Williams just declared officially for the NFL draft. Me, Stevo, and C-Dubb are going to break down the pros and cons of drafting Caleb Williams with the number one overall pick. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, joined by Stevo and C-Dubb in the building. And fellas, this was kind of the last big chip to fall. Caleb Williams declaring for the NFL draft. And so now we naturally have to go to, if the Chicago Bears do decide to go quarterback with the number one overall pick rather than trade it, which still have my doubts on. What are the pros and cons of the Bears potentially drafting Caleb Williams with the number one overall pick? Who wants to take it away first?
I'll take it away. If you draft Caleb Williams, so we just doing pros, or we doing both of them right now?
Pros now, we'll go to cons later.
Okay. If you get Caleb Williams, you're getting a nice quarterback. One of the best college quarterbacks last season. He has a quick trigger. He can make all the throws. He's a decent quarterback, and what everybody says about him, it looks like it's true. So yeah, it'd be good for the Bears, and it rewinds the clock. You don't have to pay Justin Fields in a couple years of next season and stuff like that. But yeah,
okay, Steve-O?
To be honest, the real pro is that we get to reset the clock. That's really the main concern pro I see with the main thing. Like you pointed out some of the things, the quick trigger, don't really have too many things mechanically that I'm too much worried about. But like you already know, if you come in, you're getting a dynamic player, you're getting a potential. He has a generational arm. I'm not gonna say he a generational talent, but he definitely got a generational arm. So you can potentially have a prolific quarterback on your hands. So those are some of the more notable. What are the pros are here? Quick release, and that we'll get to reset the clock.
I look at it as this is the biggest pro on my side. Not that I agree with you guys, not that I disagree. The biggest pro that I'm looking at is that it would indicate that Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren have now gotten the guy that they look at as their quarterback, meaning that we can eliminate these questions every year on quarterback because it means that you now have to make a long-term investment. Not to say that they don't in Justin as well if they decide to keep going forward with that, which is, again, the route that I hope they go. But if you decide to take Caleb Williams, all those things that Bears fans talk about, oh, well, Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin, all that, it goes away. You now have the person that is this front office's quarterback that they drafted and eliminates those questions. And now it's just development, and you get to focus on building a roster around the guy that you guys have clearly now marked as your quarterback. And I think there's clarity in that for both the fan base and to eliminate some other questions. I think also Caleb Williams wouldn't have to always look over his shoulder, kind of like Justin Fields does right now with, still having those questions on if he's going to be the guy for this team. And at that point, it just comes down to, can you produce?
Yeah. You're right about that. It would be no more excuses if you say it like that. Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus as well. You could tie him in to that as well. This is your guy. You got no excuses. You didn't draft. You can't say you didn't draft Justin, just like my man Drip said. So I agree, big dog.
It's just the main one. Also, the main pros is that he's coming into a pretty good position. Most the more noticeable, known first picks or wherever he gets picked at. Anyway, most picks that's on top ranked goes to terrible situation. Case in point, Bryce Young. So that's the main thing. He won't be coming into a completely shitty position, but everything you said I completely agree with. But hopefully it turns out for us good.
Yeah, and I mean, and like Steve-O said, I get it that there are questions and the comparisons to Justin and all that. Like the dude has an arm, and I hate that it gets to the point to where people almost take it as if you aren't saying let's draft Caleb, it's like, well, what do you guys think's wrong with him? Like he's not perfect, let's be clear, but the dude absolutely has talent. There's a reason why he's being considered as the clear number one overall pick in this draft for a team that wants to take a quarterback. There's talent there. I think that, and you know, you would be at that point doubling down and investing in a quarterback that has talent, that is young, and like I said, it eliminates some of those questions. But I also look at like, yeah, there are questions. We'll talk about the cons here in a minute, but you know, it would suck to move on from a player that still has potential in Justin Fields, that has had questions and a bad offensive coordinator. But theoretically, if the Bears do decide to go Caleb Williams with the number one overall, you'd also be bringing in that we know we're having a new offense coordinator. We don't know who it's going to be yet. So you're moving forth with a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback, and hopefully that would mean that there's a clear direction that the Bears have now picked this offensive coordinator because they think it's the guy to develop Caleb Williams, which we unfortunately didn't do with Justin Fields up to this point.
And also to add, maybe they reset the clock as well as to how competitive this team is going to be next season in their eyes. Maybe they reset that clock if they go with this, you know, they draft this young kid with the number one pick. I don't know how the fans will feel about that, but maybe within them, they'd be like, okay, now we got to show more patience. Maybe it's not going to happen this season. We go to the playoffs and stuff like that. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing I want to classify. Like me, let me just say this: the people that think clearly about the game of football will say, if the people that are getting Clay, what is it? Why I'm drawing a blank on this dude name? Caleb Williams. The people that's drawing a blank on Caleb Williams, it's not because of the talent. I promise you, it's not because of the talent. We think he could be that dude. It's just because, me personally, you're gonna come into a whole situation where the stakes is going to be super high because we got one mind and goal, and that's playoffs. And I don't know if people is going to give him a fair chance because I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not going to give him that fair chance due to the situation we in. But I ain't gonna go too deep because we got to go into the cons.
Yep. Let's go ahead. Any other pros? Anything whether it's on football field, off the football field of drafting Caleb Williams that you guys want to go into?
Nah, he probably would get a endorsement deal with some kind of fingernails or something like that. Fingernail polish.
I knew it was coming at some point in time. I knew it was coming.
It's a pro for him. That's a bag.
He's very marketable. Like
that is true.
He's very marketable. Like I can honestly see him be one of the most marquee quarterbacks in the league. So that's definitely a con within his own self.
Yeah. Let me add this as well, since you said that he is going to excite the crowd. He is a playmaker, and he does it in a different way, especially when you see this kid run with the football. It's going to be different. You have never, if you ain't watched college football, you can be okay, that's different right there. That's different. But that's all I got. That's good.
Okay. All right, let's get it. I mean, and like I said, too, like there's something to be said, like about just the clarity that comes with that, but we'll talk a little bit about that more. Let's get into the cons. Who wants to take their con list first, as far as cons about drafting Caleb Williams?
The cons. Well, the cons I would have is, for one of the main things I was looking at in this offseason. I'm like, okay, we keep it CMO, so that indicates to me that the scheme is not going to change too much. So if the scheme isn't going to change too much, that's going to require Caleb Williams to read a lot of coverages, something he's not being asked or required to do in college. So that's one of my main things, one of the main concerns. All these people talking about, oh, he can read, he get through his progression, he can read. No, the fuck he don't, because that's not what he's being asked to do over there. That's not what most quarterbacks are being asked to do in college. So, and that's more credit to who he's being coached by and what team he decided to go to. But besides that, is that in terms on there's some character issues that we're hearing that we don't know that's a fact, but we are seeing that we don't know if he's the greatest leader, we don't know if he's the greatest teammate. But I trust Ryan Post. If he does draft him, he will do all his due diligence around that, because we already had a similar situation where we passed on a guy with, like, I won't say similar, but character problem issues or such. Also, I don't like to what C-Dubb just said. He can't wow the crowd, but the thing is, he is not the athlete that he everybody thinks he is. Where those wow plays are going to be as frequent as most people think. Because I'm be honest with you, the dude he is an athlete. I'm not saying he an athlete, but he ain't running away from nobody. He ain't running away from no D lineman. He ain't running away from no linebackers. He's not running away from people. So he could probably break that first tackle, and after that, somebody gonna smoke him. So he's gonna have to lean on getting to his becoming the best prolific passer as quickly as possible. And actually, like I mentioned, I don't think nobody's gonna give him a fair shake because, like I said, I'm not gonna give him a fair shake. If you draft this dude, you're saying that he's good enough to bring us into the playoffs year one. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not giving you 2 years. You say he the guy, so he better be the guy. So that's the main con I would say if we draft him.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, and yeah, he took one off my list as well. Expectation is a big for me.
That's big, yeah.
What is the front brass and Matt Eberflus think about expectation now? Because with Justin Fields, we expecting playoffs next year. I would say that we all, any quarterback, we
Any
expect
quarterback.
playoffs next year. And one, I definitely want to hear y'all comment, y'all thought on this. What about the team chemistry?
That was going to be on one on my list. That's going to be
I
one
knew
on my
one
list.
y'all was gonna hit that. That's why
You have to ask yourself about that because it's both positives and negatives in that, right? There's one that could say, hey, Justin Fields built chemistry with DJ Moore after one offseason. So maybe you can do the same thing. But he does. It's more than just that. He has chemistry with Cole Kmet. He has chemistry. Like there's a rhythm that you get into with that, and Justin Fields has that. And Caleb Williams would potentially have to try to build that up as well. So
beyond that, what about the comments that DJ Moore made? He said they're good. He was talking directly about Caleb Williams. He's good, but he's not better than Justin Fields. That's exactly what he said. What about all the rest of those guys? All the comments they made about Justin Fields. So that's team chemistry. That's a big thing. Now he's already a rookie going into a grown man sport. Now we got to look at his teammates, maybe looking at him side eye, like, man, Justin, we just had Justin. Like they all got him. That's a lot to bear.
And I think too, like that's great, and that's one of those off football field things that you definitely have to take into consideration. And I think the on football thing that I look at as well, and this isn't something that I've heard talked about a lot, Stevo. You can correct me if I'm wrong and how you feel about this, but nobody's really talking about the fact that Caleb Williams is almost undersized for an NFL quarterback as far as height.
And I mean, yeah.
And so, he has the arm strength and stuff like that, but there are going to be people who are he's going to be facing linemen that are a lot bigger normally than he has in the collegiate level. So I just worry about that a little bit, right? It's not a huge con that I have. The biggest con that I have on this is, hey, go show me the success rate of number one overall quarterbacks taking to end up winning Super Bowls with their team.
Yes. It's not very good.
It's not very common no, I think Peyton Manning was the last one. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
How was he that rookie season?
I'm about to say the success rate is really really successful. I can name Manning, Cam, Burrow, Andrew, CJ. What? That's 5, 6. That's not a normality.
Yeah, that's not normal. That's not normal.
It's like 5. Like out of like how many quarterbacks out of 30, 40 quarterbacks? 5.
Yeah,
that's not a good percentage.
Matter of fact, so looking at it, there have only been 8 NFL quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall that have won a Super Bowl ring.
And then you could take some of those names that you just said off. Because all of those names didn't win Super Bowls.
I know. No, I was just naming.
I'm just saying.
I was just saying, like, not even win the Super. I was trying to help him out, but just
you're trying to help him for sure.
Just getting there. I named people just got there or got close. Like it's not easy.
Yeah, and I mean Terry Bradshaw, Jim Plunkett, John Elway, Troy Aikman, Drew Bledsoe, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and David Carr.
David Carr.
Not even the real, not even the real Carr.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
And keep in mind, David Carr didn't play it down. He was the backup.
Oh,
So
I was wondering. So
yeah,
how?
yeah. He has a ring because he was on the team. He didn't play a single down. So there you go on that one.
Wow. Ooh, if
And
that's
if you
see,
want
they
to be
gotta have that.
technical,
Yeah.
I was say if you want to be technical, maybe 3 of them was Hall of Famers. All of them had good teams around them. But I ain't finna, that's
And
a bit
that gets me into my next con. The reason why I set that up is because now don't get me wrong, you can have an extremely successful NFL career and not win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But the reason why I brought that up is because the expectations that it would bring for the Chicago Bears to draft Caleb Williams #1 overall. And I know you guys both touched on this a little bit. It's not, but it's big in general, but it's even bigger for a city like Chicago. Justin Fields is already one of the best quarterbacks we've had, even with all his flaws, because we don't have history of great quarterbacks. So if you take a quarterback #1 overall, moving on from a quarterback that's been here in Justin Fields, the expectations, whether right or wrong, from the city of Chicago and that's from both people who want to see them move on from Justin and the people who don't want to see them move on from Justin. Those expectations, we've seen smaller expectations crush players before, because everything that Caleb Williams does, at least in his first 5 years, is going to be so micro looked over that it's going to be crazy. I don't think it's going to be a way that we've ever seen it, because even Mitch, people gave Mitch time. It wasn't until about year 3 where people were like, hey, I don't think this dude is the guy. Cutler, he came here and he put up big numbers, and he probably got 2 or 3 years before it's finally like, hey, this Cutler guy, I don't know. Caleb Williams would literally be jumping into a situation, to your guys' point, because he's not coming into, which I guess should have been on my pros list, he's not coming into a situation that would be as bad as what Justin came into. You're coming in with a defense that finished top 12 in the NFL at the end of the season, that could have even finished higher had it been together longer, and you're coming in with a wide receiver like a DJ Moore, and they probably going to get another one in this draft to help pair with him if they go, whether they go quarterback or not. So those expectations that come with it are going to be exponential.
Hey,
and I worry about that.
Drip, you want to add some extra fucking seasoning to that pressure? How about Justin Fields is playing for the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah,
and he is flourishing.
Yeah.
How on earth are you going to deal with that, young man? That is a lot to deal with for a rookie. That us as a city, forget about the front office. We don't know what they're going to be expecting. Us as a city is going to be expecting, bro. That's a lot for a kid. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, we got it.
What's the temperature you got? How you guys feeling right now? I know we're still early in this process, but do you guys think at where it stands right now, and keep in mind, guys, if you're watching this video 2 months after we posted, our minds can change. It's freaking January. The draft is until April. Chill out. But how you guys feeling right now, the direction the Bears could go, from what your feel is on the team? Do you think they're going to stay with Justin, or do you think they may look for one of the quarterbacks? Today we're talking about Caleb Williams, but for this question we're talking about, do you think they'll go with any other quarterback in this draft?
No, I think they're going to stick with Justin, trade back, and get a wide receiver. I think we have the best chance of competing is for next year is with Justin Fields. With a rookie quarterback, you might as well dial it back a little bit. Dial it back a couple years. So my plan is stick with Justin Fields and get a receiver, get a center somewhere, get a defensive lineman. I could go on and on, but it's just stay with Justin.
Okay.
As of Monday, January 15th, I will say all signs are pointing that we're keeping Justin. But like I said, things can change. That's just based off what I'm seeing. I'm very paying attention on who's going to be our next OC, because that's going to tell me even more information and more hires that go from there. Because, like I said, and to the point of if we do was to draft somebody, I'm going to say this: I don't think it's just end all be all Caleb. I think it's going to be a heavy dose of looking at Drake and other people, just because I'm telling y'all, a lot of people are now about to start watching tape on Caleb, and now they're going to start realizing this dude is not as perfect as people are geeking out to be, and other people are going to look at other people's tape, and their draft stock is going to start shooting up, just like they do every other year. So I'm just paying attention. I'm waiting, like Drip just said, things can change. Things can change, but as of now, all signs say we keep adjusting.
That's fair. That's fair. I think things are pointing to that direction as well. Much like Stevo, I think it depends on what we do with this offensive coordinator position. If we go completely outside the box with the offensive coordinator, it may change my mind. But things right now, as January 15th, 2024, I feel like things are trending towards keeping Justin. But there are one or two quick moves, and I mean like could happen today that could very well change the direction that goes. So we'll end up seeing what happens with it. Like I said before, at the end of the day, whatever they decide, you got to make the right decision. And if they do decide to go quarterback, you better make goddamn sure that this is the right one for right. Because I do think once you as a GM tie yourself to a quarterback that's looked at as your quarterback, things start changing. The expectations start changing for both internally and externally.
Now, I do think it's a 2-horse race in Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, though. I must
You
say,
don't think Drake May? You don't think Drake May is a
I think
potential
it's
at all?
a two-horse. You either go after the so-called generational talent, or you stick with this talent you have right here. I think it's a 2-horse race.
C-Dubb, Bryce Young was generational too.
I know. That's what they said.
That's what I'm saying. And then you look at CJ Stroud now. It'd be crazy if somebody turned into CJ Stroud in this draft.
It's just generational. That's just an imagining it. It's imagination. That's all it was. That shit doesn't exist. Generational. That shit. You either good.
It
or
is.
not.
That's a fact. Like
It's imaginary.
It's very few times people was able.
There's only two people. Shaq is generational.
Yeah, it was only like, I mean, well, basketball I feel like it's a little easier, but football, especially at the quarterback position, maybe 2 people was only actually predicted to be generational.
Could you say this though, Steve? You gotta actually play in the NFL to say that you're generational.
Here's like my thing: you can have generational potential, right? And I do think that, but that's not always realized. So a lot of people who were supposed to be generational potential just turned out to be really, really damn good players, and that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, but like I just think you got the rare cases. Like I think, like when we see Andrew, we was like, yeah. When we see him, when we see Peyton, we was like, yeah.
You see Mike Vick, you like, yeah.
You see Joe Burrow, you like, yeah. Like that's what I say. It's like every like 10 to 15 years, you see one, you be like, yeah, he gonna be that one. But now they're trying to make it like one coming out every fucking draft.
Yeah, they say every year, bro.
Every year,
bro. Like, damn.
It's starting to lose the meaning of the word.
Then they call Jalen Carter generational. Then they call it.
Well, I will say this: Jalen Carter has the potential to be generational.
He does. He wasn't that much better than our two young kids.
I mean, he was better.
He was better, but not that much.
Any last thoughts, fellas, before we get up out of here?
Oh no, I just can't wait till this question gets answered. I just can't wait.
I just the clarity that because like it for like the thing that sucks about the NFL, not really sucks. It depends on what situation you're in. Is that the free agency happens before we got so much to happen before the draft.
Yeah,
so much. We got players to sign, decisions to make on players that are on our team. In the NBA, the draft happens first. That's the start of your offseason, basically.
Yeah.
And then you start feeling out what's going on. So, I mean, and we're going to try to read the tea leaves as we go, what this signing could mean and that signing could mean and all that. But until that until that question gets a definitive answer, I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could go, man.
Bro. Yo, they got us stranded, bro. This is it. It's like nervousness. Is it nervous? Because it's nervous, or is it anxiety?
Nervous. It's more anxiety.
It's like it's more anxiety.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like you know how annoying it is to know like you doing stuff and you be like, I'm sleepy. I want to take a nap. You can't take no fucking nap dealing with these motherfuckers. They'll drop some news at the most awkward time. You be like, hey, let's go do this video. I'm finna eat some cereal. Damn.
Every time, like it's just like the signings in the offseason. Ryan Poles kept waiting to make signings. It was like 10:30 p.m. every single time. Like, what we doing, bro?
Yeah, it was late.
What we doing? Why y'all want to mess with
Making
it?
a 9:30 live and shit.
Exactly, man. We'll see what happens with that one, man. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number one text message, the voicemail to do it, 773-242-9336. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Chi-Town up, Bear down. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.